Alright, so what is up, guys? I'm super happy if you couldn't tell, but today we are going to be comparing the Nintendo Switch 2 with my Nintendo Switch. Now, there is a lot of things different with this. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how the game card thing opens. Now, this is the reason why this thing does not turn on. And that is because when I was 7 years old, I decided to spit into here. I don't know why. It's one of my biggest regrets ever. But now that I'm 13 and I've grown up a lot, I now know that that was a very bad decision. So we have learned from our mistakes now. Now this will not turn on. I've been told by my grandma, which this has been in her room, to not turn this on. But I can turn this one on. So first we're going to talk about is how you detach the Joy-Cons. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to talk a little bit more too. So back then it was just a little button here that you press and this would slide off. Just like this. Come on. There you go. And now this is the screen. This is how big my hand is. This is a comparison. I can hold the entire screen. That's how big my hand is. And now with the Switch 2, it's a little trigger thing here that comes off just like that. Same for the other one. That makes it a little bit easier just to pull off. In fact, when the original Switch was in production, see that's how big my hand is again. What was it? They were actually going to have magnetic things that were actually gonna like detach off of it, just like this one. But it never fell through because they thought that it would be too loose and just wiggle off. Which it kind of is with a lot of strength, and I am pretty strong, so I could just easily do that. And there is a lot of differences actually, including that for some reason I took my stand off, which is I don't know why. But first off, it's the power button, which they made more rectangle-ish. See? That's the Switch, that's the new Switch, and this is the old Switch. And that was a big voice crack. And they made this a little bit more slimmer, and they made this bit bigger on the old Switch. They add this new power thing. I never knew they had a headphone jack in there. And they made this 3 instead of 5. And on the back here is where you open this up, which I think I already have a game in here. What is it? Oh, Zelda, because my grandma usually plays on this. She used to play on the original Switch until I broke it. Turn that off. And obviously, the size of the screens, which is like Ice Skater, but I'm gonna stop that because it could put scratches into it. Because this is about a 9. This is almost 10 years old now, and now the back, which there's obviously a major difference. Which yes, micro SD card goes in there, and now because it used to go in here where the stand was, and now it goes here. And obviously, Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 different. It feels different here as to this. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Keep hearing something. But there's also a little stop point. There's because I want to try something. I don't think it's gonna work because this is just really small in my hand. The click is almost the same. And another difference is that they made this come out a little bit more, so you can actually see the little things here instead of having to check it here, and it's like, that's about right. And they made the SL and SR buttons work, well, bigger is what I meant to say. And I just noticed that they put down arrows here. It's like, which is really cool. Also, we're gonna talk about the docks. So obviously, they had to put the 2 on there for the Switch 2. And the Switch 2 dock goes in there. And the Switch dock is obviously going to be smaller, minus the 2. And that goes in there. And obviously, this goes here. If it can grab on, if it wants to grab on. Come on. Oh, we got it. There we go. And obviously, this slides back in. And yet again, I'm not going to turn it on. Oh, he just fell down. And isn't there supposed to be like a back cover to this? I don't remember. Here's Switch dock. And I'm gonna remove the Switch 2. Just for some differences. And I just noticed this. They put holes right here as to this, which has no holes. Just has some information back here. Which all this has is just Nintendo HDMI. Now, if you take off the cover, it reveals other stuff like AC adapter. This is the old Switch. AC adapter, USB, HDMI out. AC adapter, HDMI out, and LAN. Which the telephones at my school use LAN, I think. I don't know if that's crucial information, but again, I don't know. But this is really cool. I haven't seen my Switch in a minute, and I wonder if this could actually fit. Wait a minute. Oh right, it can't because of how it's fixed. And also another thing to talk about that I think I forgot to talk about is these little things here is that on the old Switch, which really smells like my old house a little bit, there's this little flimsy handlebar thing that would hold the Switch. Now if you were to push it over here, it would fall over. But now with the new Switch, this easily comes out. And I heard that don't pick it up from the sides like that. Excuse me. Pick it up from the center, because apparently, this hasn't happened to me yet. If you were to pull it over and over and over again like that, over time, this will gradually come off because there's a little thing here, a little protection thing. Now this feels really nice. Even when it closes, it's super satisfying. And for some reason, this one is super wiggly. I don't know. This one isn't as much, but these are a little bit. Now, let's talk about the buttons now. It's just now 8 minutes long. So, before we get to that, let's talk about the bottom. Now, and again, there's more vents compared to the only ones at the top of the Switch right here. And, what was it? And on the Switch, there's these ones that I mentioned earlier. And, this is the only charging port on the Switch. But on the Switch 2, it's this one and this one up here, which is also for the camera, which is $55, which I do not have yet. And I've also noticed that these little things here that I think help with stability are not on the Switch. They're just replaced by screws. Because maybe if I had the money right now, which I do not, I could probably get this fixed, which means I might have to get another Switch. Because apparently, as my grandma says, when I spit into this, it fried everything, even though it should have fried the disk drive. I actually speak to Nintendo about this. And I also noticed that there's 2 vents right here, which is okay. And I speak to Nintendo about this, and they say it would cost $200 in repair. Now, I didn't get it repaired, obviously, because I don't have the money for that right now. But then again, sorry, I have noisy neighbors. And probably wondering how I got the money for this. I prefer not to say, because it has to do with personal life. Now, let's talk about the buttons here, and the Joy-Cons, because obviously they put a little trigger here that you push to release it. And let's take this one out, and compared to this little teeny tiny button here that slides out. And we're gonna move these out of the way. I literally just noticed this. The entire Switch, if you were to put both Joy-Cons on, it's the same width as a Switch 2 minus this one, which is really cool. So back to what I was talking about. There is some minor differences, like there being red on this, even though this was blue and red on the original Switch. I don't know what happened to those, but I remember getting new ones, but I don't remember getting these ones. And now let's just talk about the differences. Now let's talk about the differences. And also, just go one more sidetrack. I actually want to try putting the Switch 2 and the Switch 1 dock. See what happens. And I don't know if it... Wait a minute. It could fit. Let's just take off the second one, just for disconfusion. And hope it's having trouble. I don't know if it can fit, but it seems like it can because it has these little 2 things right here, as well as these little holes in here as well. So, I don't know for now. Now, let's stop getting sidetracked and talk about the right Joy-Cons. Because I want to talk about these, sorry for that, because of the new mouse mode for the Switch 2. And that is cause of a grip. Now, I am on a bed, so it's going to be fine. And that is caused by this little camera here that tracks movements. Now, the Switch 1 doesn't have that. I kind of like how small this is compared to my big hand. That's literally all I've been talking about in this video. Switch 1 and 2 and how big my hands are. I swear to God. Let's just go back to the controllers now. Now, what I noticed first is that there's major click difference. Listen. Let me turn my fan off because it's blasting at 3 volume, which is the highest volume. And now this room's gonna get very hot for some reason. I'm gonna close my window because some people do not know how to be quiet, especially when I'm recording a video about the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, which is very important for evolution reasons. And listen to this click. This is the old Switch. And this is the new Switch. Has more of a dark... I don't know how to say it. It seems like a little lower depth on the click of the Switch 2 compared to Switch 1. Another thing I noticed is the home button which, oh, it just turned on the switch too. It senses that. Well, this one's not going to turn on, obviously. I'm going to turn on my fan. I'm going to turn my fan back on, except at 1 volume. Because it's super quiet as well, so you can hear me as well. And, talk about another thing, is there's obviously a size difference in, because what? Here's the level, and what was it? This one's smaller because of the switch. Yeah. But also they add the new game chat button, which if I turn on the switch too, if it wants to turn on via this. Is the volume even on? No. If you press the buttons, it add a new sound to it. Which, obviously, I don't think this will turn on because it hasn't charged in about a few years. Presumably 7 years. I'm not going to click that back in yet. We're going to do a major quick difference. So I'm going to turn this off. And as this room gets hot again. This is A button. A button on switch 1. It's way more quiet on switch 1. This is all the buttons. All buttons on switch 2. A few differences. Then we're gonna do the plus button. That's switch 1. It's quieter on switch 2. Now this is home button. And this is home button on switch 1. Did you turn off? See, there's all differences. Let's do the SL and SR buttons. SR switch 1. It's really quiet. Now, SR and switch 2. Kind of hear the spring as well. I feel dehydrated. I'm gonna drink some Mountain Dew. This is really hard to do with one hand while recording. And I did not mean to make this video 18 minutes long. Excuse me. And obviously I actually was trying to trigger buttons as well. Like this one, we're gonna do ZR. For switch 2, that was switch 2, this is switch 1. Let me hear switch 2 again. A little difference. Now another thing is that they made the switch 2 version way bigger. That is something that I really emphasize on my Lego Switch 2 model. See, it goes all the way around. It's this middle column here. This is a trigger button here, which I made super big for some reason. And I don't know what to call these. I'll just call them trigger buttons for some reason. I'm just checking this out. And I'm trying to figure out if these are switches or just these little things here. Jeez, I'm so hot right now. That'll help. And now this is definitely bigger than. I did not mean to make it bigger than the Switch 2 itself. It's also because of I didn't have the right pieces nor the right colors at the time of building this. But I did try my best, right? Because if I did make the entire Switch 2 all black, it would take too long. Because when it comes to me building stuff, it really depends on color. That's another reason why my Bronco isn't finished right there. And in fact, I used these this water bottle out of here. In fact, I used the front ribs over there to test what the front will look like. As we can see again, it's not finished. And this is really cool. And what was it? Also, we're gonna try and do the doesn't really have a sound to it, but this one definitely does. Cause this is just a little button here, which I don't know what it does actually. It holds on to something, but I don't know what that something is. And I think I might have a screwdriver. Yep, right here. I wonder if this could work on the Switch. Nope. And I also noticed that on the Switch 2 and 1 that has headphone jacks, which I thought the headphone jack was new to Switch 2 because I didn't know that they put it on Switch 1. So it obviously works on headphones, but I do have a Nintendo Wii, so we're gonna take the AV ports off. That just took like a minute off of my hard work on putting this up my TV because of this little space up here. That's how big the space is. And we're gonna take the AV ports from my Nintendo Wii and we're gonna try and put them in the Switch. Because I have a feeling this might work. I'm gonna take the red one. Hopefully this doesn't fall because I'm literally at the corner of my bed. I'm gonna hold it like this. See if it works. Wait a minute. Does it? Oh. Let me turn on my light just to make sure. Turn on my fan. And then there we go. That's definitely gonna bring some light in here. Now we're gonna have this right here. I don't know if this one fits. I don't know if the other one fits as well. I don't know. Let's try to switch one. Because I never used a headphone jack on the Switch 1. Like, who did, though? Like, actually. Because, yeah, these don't really fit in. Remember getting these headphones, but they actually didn't have these little AV wire thingies that went to it. And by the way, the screwdriver does not work on either consoles. So that's cool. Another thing before I probably sign out is I have a GameCube memory card for some reason. And that is dirty. Excuse me. I think I might have something over here. Try and get that guck out. Ow. Yeah, I used to be that one kid that would eat while playing their games and get their controllers nasty. Alright. There's kind of a difference to this one. Also, the camera button, let's try that. Come on, get up. There's a little bit of a difference. And obviously the docks, this one has more rounded edges, meanwhile the Switch one doesn't. See? And speaking of rounded stuff, look at how round the Switch 2 one is compared to the Switch 1. This one just has like a tight curve, and this one has a smooth curve. And also, look at how sparkly it is. Every time I look at it, it looks like it has sparkles in it. And as you can see here, there's one right there. There's a few sparkles. Compared to the boring Switch. Which kind of feels like sandpaper. Meanwhile, this just feels like plastic. Which is good. I wonder if I can try and get this cleaned. Oh, wait. I do have a cleaning thing over here for the Switch 2 that can obviously work on the Switch 1. Just because this says Switch 2 doesn't mean it could work on the Switch 1. Now there is like marks from eating and stuff. But this is the best I can try and do. Because when I got the Switch, I was not nice to it. Yeah, that's the best I can do. Now we can see the scratches. Oh my god. And all the dents and stuff. Is that a teeth mark? Man. What was I doing as a kid? I don't even want to know. Where's my app? Oh, here it is. I wonder if it fits inside. Nope. And also, there's a little thing here. And that's all I'm going to talk about because this is 28 minutes long. I did not mean to make it this long. Also, there's this thing here on Switch 1, but not on Switch 2. But thank you guys for watching. This was really, really fun to do because I haven't seen my Switch in a while. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.